If you watch the first episode of Star Wars Ahsoka, you might be reminded about The Force Awakens, mainly because the series copies or makes the same terrible mistake that The Force Awakens did with the absolute awful map McGuffin. It does another things that The Force Awakens does. Mainly, it tries to recraft stories that George Lucas already told using similar shots and everything from the original trilogy, as well as the prequel trilogy. Now, it's not as overt as The Force Awakens, but there are definitely massive moments in the Ahsoka series that you can clearly see are just straight up taken from George Lucas's original films. So let's get into this here. The recently released Ahsoka series is the latest in a series of failures from Lucasfilm, and it's one anyone who saw The Force Awakens should have stepped in and put a stop to. Indeed, people at Lucasfilm should have seen this, should have realized they were making the same mistake as The Force Awakens and said, "What are you doing? Please stop it." Specifically, I think the main one is this absolutely ridiculous map McGuffin. With 2 episodes of the series released so far, the entire point of the series appears to revolve around finding Grand Admiral Thrawn. The way to locate him is based on the discovery of a map that was located in the ruins of a planet named Arcana, that previously served as a base to the Night Sisters. Gotta have those member berries for them Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels watchers. Ahsoka learned of the map's location after interrogating Morgan Elsbeth, who is revealed to be an ancestor of the Night Sisters. Didn't see that one coming whatsoever. She didn't use any kind of Night Sister abilities in her duel against Ahsoka whatsoever, but I guess Sabine Wren being her apprentice, I guess you just put those all in the same bucket retcons that Dave Filoni is making for this show. Nevertheless, Ahsoka discovers the map and safely takes it to Lothal after defeating a number of droids. On Lothal, she hopes to enlist the help of Sabine Wren, who is revealed to be her former Padawan. Her hope is seemingly fulfilled as Wren appears to unlock a location pinpointed within the map. While Ahsoka discovers the map and Sabine Wren unlocks it, Elspeth is freed from a New Republic prison cell by former Jedi Baylan Skoll and his new apprentice Shin Hati. After arriving on Arcana and discovering the map has either been destroyed or Ahsoka Tano fled with it, Elspeth orders Hati to go to Lothal to confront Sabine Wren. While in Lothal, Hati does indeed confront Wren, but it's after 2 of her droids had already ambushed Wren and taken the map. Nevertheless, a fight ensues with Hati getting the best of Wren. In fact, she impales her with her lightsaber. While the show completely centers on this map, it does not make a lick of sense if you watched this series after watching the conclusion of Star Wars Rebels. At the end of that animated series, it reveals how Grand Admiral Thrawn disappears. In the series finale, Grand Admiral Thrawn's plans of crushing the rebellion on Lothal are undone by Ezra Bridger. Bridger outwits Thrawn by having the Ghost which is the ship, piloted by Mart Matson, an obvious self-insert of Lucasfilm story group member Matt Martin, and former clone trooper Wolf lead a herd of Purrgil to Lothal. So basically, they're flying around in the Ghost. They're escorting this herd of Purrgil, which are these space whales that have the ability to jump through light speed or jump through hyperspace. The Purrgil proceed to destroy Thrawn's Imperial fleet before entering the planet's atmosphere and attacking his flagship, the Chimera. As the Purrgils destroy the rest of Thrawn's fleet and begin attacking the Chimera, Ezra Bridger uses his Force ability to take control of the Purrgil. He then uses them to attach themselves to the Chimera and take it and everyone on board, including himself and Thrawn, to an unknown location. So basically, you have Ezra Miller. He turns the Purrgils, their light speed hyperspace capabilities up, and then they just jump to hyperspeed from within the atmosphere of Lothal, which in and of itself is stupid. But you have that there. They jump to an unknown location. No one knows where it is or where they are. So the idea that Thrawn left a map hidden on the planet Arcana to his unknown location is beyond the pale. First off, he would have to have predicted that Bridger would use the Purrgil. He would then have to know where exactly the Purrgil would transport him. For as much foresight that Grand Admiral Thrawn has, I just think this is out of his purview. It is not something that he would have. Even if you believe he left the map to a location he would travel to, if he happened to go missing, you still have to buy the idea he indeed knew he would lose to Ezra Bridger and the rebellion on Lothal. It's just unbelievable. It's beyond the pale. Anyone who's buying this I really don't know what to tell you because it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It is a complete and utter McGuffin. It's Dave Filoni retconning his series, and he made clear that he was going to do this. He says people get too stuck up on the canon of things, and then you just sit back and enjoy a good story. Well, it's hard to enjoy a good story when you're completely changing the events that lead up to that story. You're rewriting history, dude. And when you're rewriting the story, why should anyone enjoy it? Absolutely not. It doesn't make any sense. Plus, you're changing the rules of the universe and everything like that too. You're just setting yourself up for L after L. But not only does the idea of a map leading to Thrawn make absolutely no sense based on Star Wars Rebels, the whole idea of using a map to find a famous character in order to turn the tide of war or prevent war is the exact same plot point from J.J. Abrams' The Force Awakens. The opening crawl from that film explains Luke Skywalker has vanished. In his absence, the sinister First Order has arisen from the ashes of the Empire and will not rest until Skywalker, the Last Jedi, has been destroyed. With the support of the Republic, General Leia Organa leads a brave resistance. She is desperate to find her brother Luke and gain his help in restoring peace and justice to the galaxy. Leia sent her most daring pilot on a secret mission to Jakku, where an old ally has discovered a clue to Luke's whereabouts. The clue is part of a map given to Poe Dameron from Lor San Tekka that leads to Luke Skywalker. The first mention of the map is by Kylo Ren, where he's demanding Lor San Tekka give it to him. Here's a picture of the map and like the little red line that's showing how to get to where Luke is, and the missing map piece is right there, like it's from a puzzle or whatever like that. It's so stupid. The map McGuffin is not the only thing that Ahsoka takes from The Force Awakens. The series rips scenes from George Lucas's iconic original trilogy, as well as the prequels, as nostalgia bait to delude Star Wars fans into thinking the series is original. It's total nostalgia bait. It might work on some people, but for me, it's a mockery. It's a mockery of Lucas's original trilogy. It's not an homage at all. I just feel like they're just taking the pieces of the original Lucas trilogy and maligning them. And I don't think it's as like an homage that you would do for something because it's still set within that same universe. You're not doing it from another franchise or something like that where you might be honoring him. To me, this is just, they've run out of ideas. Let's just go back to the same well and just redo what George Lucas did with different skins, and I just find that insulting. And they expect us to kind of like buy it or believe it or whatever. For an example, the opening sequence takes from the original Star Wars movie as well as Return of the Jedi. Instead of Luke, Han, and Leia sneaking onto the Force moon of Endor by using an Imperial shuttle and an Imperial code, we get a former Jedi in Baylan Skoll using an old Jedi code in order to obtain entry onto a New Republic ship. They then proceed to tear the ship apart, similar to how the Stormtroopers did in the first film. So once they get there, it's two Jedi just kind of just tearing apart Republic soldiers. In this case, it's New Republic soldiers, just like the Stormtroopers did with the Republic, or Rebel Alliance, I guess, in the case of the original Star Wars. And then you have Baylan Skoll. He does his best Darth Vader impression from Rogue One with the hallway fight scene. So they're even doing their own stuff. And then look at this. You can even see kind of like the smoke. Like the whole idea of the smoke was like they were like gas things were thrown to obscure the Rebel Alliance soldiers and stuff like that when the Empire boarded the ship. I have no idea where this smoke is coming from here. It just doesn't really make any sense. But they want those member berries from when Vader enters onto Leia's ship. In that opening scene of Star Wars. The series also takes from The Phantom Menace when Shin Hati gets a report from a probe droid. It's literally like the same thing that you saw with Darth Maul when he's on Tatooine. He gets the probe droid, comes up to him, tells him basically where Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are located on Tatooine. He immediately sets off and goes to confront them. However, instead of Shin Hati going off to confront, she literally waits till nighttime, I guess, when security is more lax. Who knows? It's unclear why she waits. But basically, she waits so Sabine can crack the code of the map, figure out what planet it is pointing to, and then by the time Shin Hati actually does indeed make a move, her droids destroy whatever resources Sabine had in her little house there that she was working out of in the communications tower, and then they also steal the map, which, as Paul Chano points out, looks like an Apple of Eden from Assassin's Creed, which is just, what is even going on here? So I think that it doesn't even make any sense. The whole point of her waiting is so Sabine can then solve the puzzle of the map before the droids actually attack. It's just purely for writing purposes. It's just really annoying. And I'm sure people will say, like, oh, you just don't like Easter eggs. Those are Easter eggs. Those are homages. Well, again, I don't think that that's what they really are. I think that they're just taking these things from Lucas, like The Force Awakens did. Force Awakens was obviously more overt. It was a soft reboot of the original Star Wars trilogy. I think they're doing the same thing here in Ahsoka. They're just being way more covert about it. But I think you see all the hallmarks of that from The Force Awakens, and that's what you're going to get here. And again, they've hinted at this because they're just basically taking Luke's story from the expanded universe where he actually has to confront Thrawn, and they're going to give that to Ahsoka. So indeed, it is a soft reboot of the actual Thrawn trilogy, the Heir to the Empire trilogy. They've made no qualms teasing that phrase in the trailers leading up to it. So indeed, that's what I think is happening here, and I think it's a mockery. I think it's a mockery of Timothy Zahn's work. I think it shows a lack of creativity from Dave Filoni, and again, it shows that Star Wars really has no idea what they're doing, or at least the people that are creating Star Wars right now have no idea what they're doing. And then they just don't understand the franchise, and simply they just don't understand the mythic storytelling that Lucas was able to tap into with the original trilogy.
Subscribe for more.